Welcome to the channel. It's committed to helping more people experience freedom in their life through success in sales and tech sales in particular, but also the pursuit of personal development and self-expansion. And to the latter end, I am so excited to have Kathy join us on the channel in one of our latest inspiring interviews to talk about how we can accelerate our personal growth and development. Kathy is the SVP of Training and Development at Seminars, which is one of the longest standing in its original form seminars in the United States. It hasn't been changed because the stuff works. And I recently went through the program with her. I can't talk. And I got so much out of it. This stuff is transformational. So again, I see a lot of people on YouTube searching how to accelerate my personal growth and development. We're going to talk about that today with Kathy. So Kathy, first off, I want to thank you for coming. How has your day been today, by the way?
Oh, I'm going to tell you, it's been super crazy because I am, it's just been, I went and met with a friend of mine that she's a graduate of the classes. Cool. And she has this huge vision of this incredible company that she's going to start marketing. And it's right up my alley. So I'm like, okay, I'm in, I'll buy something. It's shoes from Italy that she's now marketing here in the United States that are very high quality and not the price of, high-end shoes from Italy. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I mean, not actually, I've never bought high-end shoes from Italy, but I have an idea.
They're not the price of Prada or Jimmy Choo, okay? And they're super cute and super comfortable. So I had a great day with her. And I'm getting ready to teach one of our classes tomorrow here in San Francisco.
Well, that's exciting. You're such a jet setter, leading programs, impacting many lives. And going through the program with you, it was incredible. You were tough on us. You were loving on us and everything in between. And what I found is there was this experiential, emotional, almost subconscious learning that took place that you can't get out of a book. So I wanted to start off to get your perspective on why seminars like Seminars, and there are others out there, are so powerful, and how do they help accelerate our growth and development and self-expansion?
Well, here's for everybody that's watching and listening, here's the truth. We can't see ourselves, right? I mean, and we're looking at ourselves just from our own point of view. And so you start off in the basic seminar, and it's like the whole point of that is to take a journey inward to explore what you're thinking. So it's to think is to create is as from the beginning of time, like what a man of mind can conceive and believe he or she will achieve. So think about that. So
can you say that one more time? Can you say that one more time? What a man can, go ahead.
Man or woman can conceive and believe they will achieve.
Got it.
So you take time out of your busy life. So I don't think that we do that very often. And you take time out and you're just spending the time with you and listening to you. Like, we don't do that very often. And the truth is, you learn a whole bunch from other people in the class, because I remember when I went to the basic seminar for the first time, this is a long time ago, okay, so now it has been literally 36 years. That's a long time.
And you've stayed at work.
Yeah.
Clearly had a life-changing impact.
Yeah, I love it. And so what I saw is there somebody would stand up and they'd share something. And I'd go, I never looked at it like that. So, and then somebody else would stand up and share something. And I go, oh my God, I thought I was the only one that thought like that. So I saw commonalities, and I also started to see different perspectives. And I think that's a lot of times that's one of the biggest issues for all of us is we can only see the perspective in front of us based on our thinking. And I mean, really think about this, Chris. Like every single one of us, we learned everything from the time we came out of the womb until basically, the statistic is by 8 years old, you have almost 50% of your thinking in place. Think about that. No, actually, I think it's even higher than that. that by the time we're 18 years old, it's like 95% of our thinking is stamped in our brain. Like we've already decided like who we are. We've already made decisions about women. We've already made decisions about men. We've already made decisions about them and this and, whatever it happens to be. We've already made decisions about, we've already made decisions about money. We've already made decisions about, I got to work really hard for my money, or money comes easy to me. Like it's in our subconscious brain. And so based on the results that we are getting in our life, are the results matching up to what it is that you really want? Or are you just settling? Like I really honestly 100% believe that we were put on this planet to have an extraordinary life. And that's extraordinary in all areas. So, some people, it might be that you're all about making millions of dollars. Okay, that's great. Good for you. And at the same time, here you are on this planet. How are you giving back? Like we're all in this dance called life together, not alone. And so I think that when you sit in a class like the beginning in the basic seminar, and then you move on to life success course, and then the leadership seminars, you start to see that you make an impact on the planet. Like I actually have something to contribute. And so if I'm contributing, if I'm putting something out, it's going to come back. It's not always going to come from the same source. But if I am willing to start to see that I'm connected and I start to see things from a bigger perspective, that's starting to operate from an abundance consciousness versus a scarcity consciousness. You know what I mean by that?
Could you explain it a little further for the audience? It'd be good to flesh that out because abundance for scarcity is an important topic.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
Like our scarcity, like I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I like hoard things. Like I constantly say it, like I won't let go of anything. Like, in fact, I even start to think that a scarcity consciousness, well, I don't make enough money to contribute to charity. I don't make enough money to tithe somewhere. No, you do. You just have to start small. And that's when we start scarcity. We're operating from a place of not enough, which translates to a belief system about ourselves.
I'll quickly say, Kathy, before we get to abundance, is that there's murmurs about economic downturn. Not murmurs, we're seeing it, right?
Yeah,
and I'm seeing the corporate world. And so I notice myself, we got to be really careful about a scarcity mindset because, there will be downturns. But I don't know if you have thoughts on how to keep an abundance mindset in this time that we're heading into, because it is like the stock portfolio is not doing as well as it usually does, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I opened it up and I went, I probably shouldn't be looking at that right now. Because it's going to, as Warren Buffett says, you invest and you just keep, like, that's what you do. Like if you are investing smart, and guess what? You're going to have up downs and you're going to have downtimes. And so you just have to be smart about it. But the one thing that he says this all the time because I admire and have so much respect for Warren Buffett, is he said this year, the best place that you can possibly, the best place to invest in is you.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, and that's the investment that
it's a lifelong
never goes away when you invest in yourself. Never goes down.
Think about that. That's why if you are operating from an abundant thought process and a consciousness, like, sure, you're going to be smart about your money, right? But the one place, so you're not going to go buy a new outfit. You're not going to go have, dinner at this particular restaurant. I'm going to actually take that money and invest in me because my mindset is I have control over that. Nobody else does. That is the truth. And when I say it, talking about abundance, it's not just money. It's about how we give to people. It's how we love people. It's how we connect with people. Do I have an abundance of love to love my husband, to love my bonus daughters, to love my nieces and my nephews and my brothers and aunt? Do I have enough love there? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Sometimes people have the thought process, I don't have that much love to give, so I've got to only give it to this person. And guess what? In that abundance conversation, we also have to give ourselves love too, because we got to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Like what's your habits? What's your daily habits that support your personal growth? Is it the gym? Is it getting up in the morning? Is it meditating? Like, what are that's a great question for anyone that is watching this or in the future is listening to this. Start examining what your habits are. That's going to reveal a lot to you. It's going to reveal a ton. And start to examine, like, wow, how did I get into this one? And is it really healthy for me? Is it really going to support me where I want to be in 10 years? There's a really, really great book. It's called The Man Who Planted Trees. And it's a story of this man that started to just plant trees. And no one understood really why he was doing it. And he just did it because it helped. It was going to actually help the water and et cetera in this town. But he never saw how big those trees grew. The point is that he planted something that did grow, because he passed away before they grew. But it wasn't the point that he did it. He did it for the future.
And
so
just
it's
looking like bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Like, and start asking yourself this question. So what are the seeds I'm planting in my mind? Think about that. Like, what is it that you say to yourself? What is it that other people around you say to you? Is that really supporting you in how you want to be? Because if you don't think you're great, and I don't mean this as a cocky place, but as if I don't think that I have something to contribute, I'm going to kind of hold myself back. And if I don't see somebody else, like, I think you're great. Like, I'm just going to use you an example. Like, I watched that video.
Thank you.
That you did to that talk for the Boys and Girls Club. Was it Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, Boys and Girls Club. Yeah.
And I'm just like going, oh my gosh, that is so good. And then I texted you and I said, basic instructor in the making. And I thought that was a huge gift to give to them. Like, sure, you wanted to do it too, right? Yes. But it was a huge gift that you gave those kids. Like, that's contribution. That's operating from a place of abundance. And that's operating from a place of, I have something to contribute. And again, not from a cocky place. And I think that sometimes people forget how much they really have to give. And on a bigger scale, how much there is out there for them to receive.
Aren't people? Yeah. Go ahead. I have a question to follow up, but go ahead.
Sometimes people want to, they're supporters, so they want to give. But then when somebody wants to give to them, oh, no, I'm fine. But when you allow someone that actually wants to give to you, and you receive it, you just gave a gift to them.
Oh, interesting. Never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So my question was, why is it so hard for some of us to receive?
I think that maybe someplace along the line is that we think it might show weakness, or like a vulnerability. And then, sometimes people like to give things because that's their way of controlling people.
True. I've known some people like that.
Me too.
Yeah. So, oh man, so interesting. I love how this conversation has danced to some great topics already. Super fun. And going back to our theme of accelerating our personal growth, development, and expansion, another thing I wanted to ask you about is the importance of beingness. We had talked about it in a different conversation. Yeah. Like how people are focusing on what they're doing, but they're not, and developing like skills, but not focusing on who they're being in the moment. Like, what is that all about? What's beingness? Why does it matter? Can we speak to that?
Oh, 100%. Well, first of all, we're human beings, not human doing machines. Right?
That's fun.
And I think that most of us have gotten very masterful. I know I was, as super good at human doing. But who am I being in the process? So let's take a couple of steps back. So think about okay, when I graduate and then I go to college, then I'm going to be able to do this, and then I'll get to have this, and then I'll get to be in a great relationship. So, or when I have this and I can do this, and then I'll be this. So we work with a completely different point. Like every single one of our,
Paradigm?
what was that?
Like a paradigm or
No, not paradigm, because paradigm would be like what your thought process is.
okay.
So beingness is every single one of our classes is all about beingness, who you are, like how you're showing up in the world.
Yes.
Like how do people receive you? You know, like when you walk in a room, are you the person that people are drawn to? Or are you the person that like people go, yeah, maybe not. They got an attitude. That's a beingness, right? Like, does your beingness draw people in or does it push people away?
Got it.
So who I'm being, am I displaying my vulnerability, my honesty, my authenticity, my passion, my joy? And from that, then I bring that to what I'm doing. And then I create what I have. So often, think of it this way. How often do people define themselves by what they do?
A lot.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I'm a great person because I do this. I have this position in this company, so that defines my worth. Versus, regardless of what my paycheck is, regardless of the titles behind my name, I stand in, I'm worth it in me. And I display my beingness. It's kind of like, how often does someone want to get to the destination? And so when they get to the destination, they're like, oh, okay, well, I got to the destination. Great. Now, what's next? So often that's how we become very unfulfilled, because it's just about getting something. And trust me, I love getting stuff like that. I am not just, I love having stuff. However, it's who have I become on that journey, getting there? Because one of the things about is that you want to always on you, because you want to notice the small stuff and you want to notice you, because you got to do the small stuff to prepare you for the big stuff. And sometimes people are just waiting for the big stuff instead of like, and I would say the small stuff is our daily routines. Like when we get up in the morning, what's meditating or working out, or what we put in our mouth, and how disciplined we are with the thoughts that we have going on in our head. It's like, and I think that who you are is so big, so big. And I think that sometimes people forget that. Like they put their value on something that has nothing to do with who they are. And it all starts with who you are. And sometimes when we get too much out here, we have forgotten to be kind. And then we start to think that we expect it. So I love these kind of conversations, Chris. I mean, it's so fabulous.
It's important to have these conversations and to amplify these ideas and put them out in the world in case there's one person who needs to hear the message. So yeah, the concept of beingness is important to get. And one thing I was thinking of is, how can beingness be applied to realize a dream? You know, when I was in the seminar, not to give it away, but let's just say you talked about Steven Spielberg, or I think you guys did, the leaders of the group, about how he was being that famous producer before he even was it, technically, in the eyes of others. Could you speak to that? Like,
Okay,
how is that to realize
really
dreams?
that's really good. So act as if it is so that it becomes so. So you got to stand in those shoes. So I'll give you an example. So if you want a new car, a simple example, treat your existing car as if it's your new car. So if I'm the head honcho, Like, this is my game. How would I be? How would I walk into a room? And I want to be like that guy that people really respect. I don't want to be the asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, of
Like
course.
the person that they go, oh, look who's here. Let's go. We're gonna create the greatest movie ever. Like, you're already standing. It's like, again, you're not waiting for what you have or the title to display the qualities that you have
Yes.
that got you to be that title and got you to produce that.
Yes. So you're carrying yourself, your body language reflects it, the way you speak, and you have this belief that generates that future that you want. You're being that person today, and you're acting like you belong. I hear fake it till you make it and fake it till you become it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if there's someone who gave a TED talk. I don't know if it's is it Angela Duckworth who talked? No, she talked about grit. I don't know if it's Carol Dweck who spoke about a growth mindset. But do you have thoughts on those expressions? I don't, and maybe you don't like those, or maybe you
Oh
do.
no, I have definitely said that. Fake it till you make it. And we could argue, but we could have different points of view. But fake it isn't the word I would put in,
Yeah.
because it's like then you're wearing a disguise, and you don't want to wear a disguise.
Yes.
Like, you want to be you, right? So,
Yes.
okay, so I might not have a $3,000 suit on, but what I have on, I feel good in when I walk into a room. So it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I just am
Yes.
standing in it. Like, I have value, and so I'm going to contribute what I know I can contribute here.
Yes.
Make this whatever this happens to be turn out. So let's go back. Let me go back to some of the basic. This is really good for me to have this conversation, since I'm starting the basic seminar tomorrow, and it's not the advanced course, so it's like brand new. Everybody's brand new walking into the first class. Is, as I said, conceive, believe, you will achieve. So you've got to have a picture in your mind. Like, where do you want to be? Like, what is that person? Like, even in the morning, like when you start your day out, like, how do I want to walk into the house tonight? How do I want to greet my husband? How do I want to greet my family? How do I want this to be? So I'm
Yes.
starting to utilize visualization. That's one of the most powerful tools that we have. And you can use it every single place in your life, whether you're on the golf course, tennis court, in your workplace, resolving a relationship that possibly might not be going very well. Because if you can't see it, if you don't see a resolution, it's never going to happen. It's not.
You have to see it visually, like see it and feel it.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really important for people to understand. It's like, it just doesn't fall in your lap. You don't just a helicopter didn't drop you off at the top of the mountain. You actually had to climb it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's part of what personal growth is all about. And I think that's where people go, oh, wait a second. I don't want anybody to tell me how to live my life. Nobody's going to tell you how to live your life. It's you allowing yourself to get yourself congruent and in alignment. So what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling starts to be congruent. And then I take my 3 levels of mind, my conscious mind, my subconscious mind, my superconscious mind, and they're in alignment. So I'm clear and certain about what I'm committed to create in my life. I'm not second guessing myself. Or let me put it this way. If you start to second guess yourself, you start to be so clear on it that you're like, thanks for sharing, and I'm going over here anyway.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're foreshadowing a topic that I want to hit on, which is what confidence looks like, which I think we had discussed. It's more so integrity and alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna dig into that. We might dig into it now, but I think there was another topic. Yep, I got it. Had a little brain, for a second. But as we look to accelerate our personal growth, expand who we are more quickly, it seems like feedback is a good mechanism to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we just have a discrepancy between how we perceive ourselves. Like, I think Chris looks this way to the world, but the reality is Kathy sees a reality that is quite different.
Mhm.
And it seems like feedback is a way to bridge the gap. But could you speak to this overall concept from based on what you've seen and how feedback can accelerate our growth?
Well, I mean, we definitely have, that in all of our classes. And I think that, there's most people hear feedback as criticism. I'm gonna turn that around, is like feedback is a gift. But you actually have to go, "Okay, so is this person giving me feedback because they want me to be better, or do they have an agenda?" Right? So you most of the time, you know who that is, right? Especially in our personal lives. But I think that if we can, like, not take it personally, that's the big thing. I think a lot of times people feel like, "Oh my god, I did something wrong." No, you didn't do anything wrong. Because the truth is we're only doing and creating results in our life with what we know. That's why you do personal growth, is to uncover all the things that you didn't even know, and all the things that you didn't even know that you didn't even know. And so
Exactly.
sometimes you think you're walking into a room, you think you're having an open conversation. Like, okay, I'll give you a really good example. So when I took the basic seminar, what I definitely discovered is that, I have a very dominant, controlling personality. So we do this exercise of, you know, controllers, supporters, analyzers, promoters, right? Well, I definitely fell into this controller group. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I started to, like, kind of, I did a little, research. And I went to one of my oldest and dearest friends and I said, "So, am I kind of hard to be in a relationship with sometimes?" And, she just giggled and she's like, "Well, I love you. And you got to hear me. You don't always listen. And you really like it to do things your way." I was like, "Oh, I don't let anybody else like that. You usually don't." But we've just decided that's just how you are. And so that's the whole point, is that's not how I am. It's not how any of us are. Like, if you start to say to yourself, "Well, this is just the way I am." No, it's not. We actually can shift ourselves. Like,
Yep.
in that each one of those behavioral styles brings something incredibly valuable. And do I have access to being and you putting that code on anytime I want? Yes. Are there certain ones of those codes that are seriously uncomfortable for me, right? Like, oh God, but I got to put on that coat, right? But to create what it is that I want and to have the result I want, I'm going to get over I'd rather be uncomfortable, period. Because what's bigger? It's kind of like when I finally really got commitment and was 100% in alignment when I got married. Is like, okay, I am committed to having this family be extraordinary. Like, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my brand new bonus daughters, their mom, like, it's a family, right? Interconnected. So the picture always was, I want my family to work. So it didn't matter how I felt about it.
Mm. So what is commitment to you? I mean, it sounds like when you're committed to something, it doesn't matter how you feel emotionally or mentally, you committed to a result and you will get that result because you were committed to it. You'll do whatever it takes. Is that accurate, or how would you flesh out what commitment looks like?
I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it. But I think, how we define commitment is a choice I make that I surrender to.
Oh, that's
So
really
a choice that I make, that I surrender to, and surrender meaning I lean in. So exactly what you said, willing to do whatever it takes. So guess what? Some days you're not going to feel like it, but feelings are a byproduct. They're not the end product.
mm,
I believe that was Helen Keller that said that. And
yeah.
so often we people are driven by their feelings. Feelings are, they come and go. They're not the end product. So commitment, all you have to do is take a look at your life and it'll tell you right away what you're committed to, because
Yeah.
it's your results, you know. So get yourself very clear on what it is that you're committed to. And I say that happens when we allow ourselves to get back in alignment. not committed to what somebody else wants me to do, but committed to what you say is important. Because
So
I'll never forget, there's a woman that took all of our classes, and really great, great, great. So she was an attorney. And when I started Camp Choice, I, met this attorney because, sometimes the kids were getting in trouble in San Francisco. And so I just thought she was the greatest. And so she came to all the classes and she was so appreciative of being introduced to him. And so we went out to lunch and she says, I am so grateful to have taken these classes, Kathy, because I am going to go after what I've always wanted. And I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean? You're an attorney. You got to be kidding me. And she goes, I've always wanted to be an interior decorator. I'm moving to New York. My husband has agreed. I'm going back to design school. I was like, what? Because what she discovered is she became an attorney because that's what her dad wanted her to be. I'm like, holy Toledo. So you go to law school and you're practicing law. Is that the cutest dog? And,
Isn't she cute?
and it was what she wanted to do. It was great. It was good education, but it wasn't really her calling. Her father was an attorney. Her grandfather was an attorney, right? So it's kind of like the family business, so to speak.
Yes.
And that's not what she really wanted to do. She really wanted to be an interior decorator. So that's like, okay, what is it that you're, what are you committed to? Like, what is it that you really want? Because I think so often we get caught up in right, wrong, good or bad, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. And so when you actually go and sit in a class like the basic seminar, that's where you get to start to peel those layers back and go, wow, what has been the real driver here? Like what thought process, what belief system has been really driving what I'm creating in my life?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it said that sometimes we build an empire in a pile of crap, basically, to put it euphemistically. Say like our belief that we're not enough drives us to greatness. I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe I guess it's not good or bad, but it can happen, Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Some of the greatest things that have been created in the world was from anger. Like think of the Mother Against Drug Driving, the one that started that whole thing. Yeah, I'd be angry too, but it was the anger that drove her to make a gigantic difference in the world.
Yeah, it's powerful. So we say bad emotion, or I just did it right there. I labeled it, but certain emotions are bad, but they can be very constructive and lead to incredible contribution, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Yeah.
Like Mr. Wilhite, the founder of PSI seminars, he had the greatest saying. It's like, take someone that is going 180 degrees in the wrong direction, and they've got passion, they've got commitment, they're willing to do whatever it takes, right? You take that person and turn them around to doing something that is beneficial for the planet, for them, and for the world, right? Other people, and you bring those qualities. That's the future leaders. It's the ones in the middle, the ones that go, so how are you? Oh, good, fine, all good. It's like, what needs to happen here for you to wake up? This is it. This isn't a dress rehearsal, so to speak.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And there are people who, I mean, they do quote unquote bad things, but they have a capacity for good. And if they could get redirected with, like you said, with that passion and commitment, man, it could be powerful. And so what I'm hearing you say is the person who is lukewarm is actually, that's pretty dangerous place to be. So, yeah. So
and it's not fun.
It's not fun. The spice of life is being a little quirky and out there and passionate, and you know what I'm saying? And being a little effed up. A lot of the most successful people are, so again, I guess I could drop an F-bomb here. I've done it before, but being mindful. But hey, I had 2 more questions for you. This has been really great. And the penultimate question, big word, is about integrity and alignment versus confidence. Because I wanted to ask you coming into this, how do we accelerate building confidence? Everyone wants to be more confident. Obviously, that's a key determinant of success. Like the way we view ourselves, our confidence can determine our results. So what does confidence mean to you? Would you phrase it differently? How do you build it?
Keeping your word to yourself and other people.
Yeah.
Do what you say. It's
Yeah.
starting with you.
Wow.
I think that's the big, that's it.
That how many times do we break agreements to ourselves? And we forget, we step
If I
over
can't
it,
keep exactly.
you know? And so
I think that's the first.
can you flesh out more the concept of in well, I guess that's integrity then, right? Is honoring your word and doing what you're saying you're doing. And I'm sure there
Mhm.
are different levels of that. But what's
Yep.
this alignment thing all about? Where you're saying you kind of alluded to it before, but it's like doing what
Yeah.
you want to do and not what others want you to do. But would you add anything to that?
Oh yeah. So I think it is like you're congruent.
Yeah.
So what you're feeling, what you're thinking is in alignment. And so you
Yep.
show up as congruent, which has you're showing up authentic. Like people can connect to that.
Yes.
And like when you put your head on the pillow, did you do everything that you said you were going to do today?
Yeah.
Are you proud of how you treated people? Are you proud of how you treated yourself? Did did you was today everything that you wanted it to be? Did you show
Yep.
your best self?
Yes. So it's helpful to know that building what we could call confidence or integrity and alignment is actually quite simple, but also hard, I guess. But maybe
Yeah,
it's
it
not.
is.
It's kind of hard because otherwise
Well,
everyone
I
would
think
do it.
well, I think it's hard, but also it takes discipline. And then what sometimes we go down this rabbit hole of like, oh, I didn't do it today. Oh, and then we don't do it the next day, and then we don't do it the next day. Now we've created,
Yeah.
right? Down on ourselves. So we kind of just avoid it
Yes.
instead of, okay, wait a second. This is a new day. I start this day,
Yes.
whole new day. It's kind of, I'll give you this super funny story because we don't have that much more time.
Yeah.
So when me and Gary first got in a relationship, and he was super reluctant. And so, not that I was, I was too. And so I said, okay, let's do it this way. Let's just commit for 24 hours, one day at a time. And so that's what we started doing. Like, okay, I'm in, 100% in. So that it would be a great day. Then next day. And then pretty soon, like 6 months later, we're like, hey, I think we can do this commitment thing.
Wow.
Like every day choosing in. So think about that. Let's translate that to our life. Like when we get up in the morning, that I choose in today, and I am going to bring the best version of
Yes.
myself.
I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to generate the future I want. I'm going to focus on the way I'm being and show up that way. I'm going to honor my word and my commitments to myself. To others, I'll show up on time. I think that's a great way to end in
Yeah.
terms of perspective is one day at a time, especially when it comes to building confidence, integrity, and building upon our dreams and relationships. That's a great example. I can't imagine if everyone did that, like in their relationships, just one day at a time. It's a novel idea that I didn't think about, but very practical, I think, too. So, man, this has been awesome. And my last question is around Camp Choice. You alluded to it before, and just to give, if we could give the audience some context on what Camp Choice is all about and what y'all are up to moving into the
Okay.
future.
So I started Camp Choice this 29 years ago. And we were bringing kids from the neighborhood, youth at risk, that lived in the neighborhood in San Francisco and in different what they call projects back then. And I started a program with the San Francisco Police Department because there was some really amazing, amazing people that started this program called Operation Dream. And then I started to work with them, and it was just giving kids a chance to see something else. So we take them up to the ranch, and we designed a combination of all of our classes. So it's a leadership class for kids anywhere between 10 and 15 years old. And
Cool.
so they learn teamwork, responsibility, leadership, how to work with each other. Because originally back then, like it was defined neighborhoods in San Francisco. Not so much. I don't want to get into all that on this. But what had happened is that so kids started coming back, like, every single summer, and then bringing more kids. And now the kids are grown. And so, I mean, they're 30, 32 years old. They started coming when they were like 8. They said they were 10, but they lied on their forms. And and they're running it. Like they're going to be the coaches and they're going to run the deal.
Wow.
And so now we don't do it with the police department anymore because many of those officers either retired or, went on to be detectives or something else, right? And so this year, because, we haven't been able to do it for the last 2 years, is we're going to be going up to a camp in Oakhurst, California, which is close to Yosemite. And we're going to do July 23rd to the 28th. And if you'd like to donate to Camp Choice, you can go to psiworld.org.
Okay.
So that's our nonprofit arm. And also you can go on there and find some more pictures. But it's an incredible, incredible 5-6 days for kids to, first of all, be kids and learn some new skill sets that will definitely support them and be much more effective in their future.
Yeah, I really admire what you're doing because, especially at an early age, kids, when exposed to the types of ideas that you teach and contribute, can really run with those, and it can change the trajectory of their future. So I'm a big believer in what you're doing with Camp Choice, and so I will put the link in the description for folks to check it out to give a contribution. Can you tell me again the link, or tell us all?
I think it's psiworld.org.
Okay. Perfect. So simple enough, psiworld.org. And so that's coming up very soon, the next Camp Choice. And are there any other final thoughts or calls to action that you wanted to share before we sign off for today?
I would just really first of all, I'd put them in the link to find out more about our classes. But most of all, I want people to remember that they have tickets, that they actually do have something to offer, and play big. If you're noticing that you're watching, like you're on the sidelines versus getting on the playing field. Like get on the playing field, called your life.
Guys, you have something to offer. You heard it from Kathy. You matter. And get on the court. Let's all do it. Let's take action. Let's live in risk and go for it. So make sure to check out Camp Choice and contribute if you feel compelled. I encourage you to do so. So I'm going to do that myself. I'll put the link in there, and check out Sci Seminars as well. I am a big believer in personal growth seminars, or I guess we'd call it a self-leadership development seminars. I got so much out of it. And
leadership of self, yes.
Leadership of self. So perfect. So check that out. Kathy, thank you so much for the time. The conversation was fun. It was insightful. And I know that the audience got a lot out of it. So guys, make sure to give the like button a love tap, because the YouTube algorithm loves that too. And we'll show this video to more people who could benefit from the message. And that matters. Let's amplify these ideas, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly sales and personal growth hacks that you can chew on like snacks. You can see my puppy back there. There she is.
I love it.
Thanks so much. Signing off, guys. What a great conversation.
So much, Chris.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.